Good day and welcome to our podcast, Elevate Inc. today. My name is Aakash Patel, president and founder of Elevate Inc. We are a strategic business consulting firm founded in 2012 with the premise of helping companies grow in the Tampa Bay area. We feature great guests that are helping our community elevate Tampa. If you have interest in learning about our podcast or our business, please send us an email, info@elevate-inc.com. As always, we want to recognize our clients that are doing great things in the community to help our businesses thrive. We want to give a shout out to Tampa's up-and-coming commercial real estate capital funders, Jaffrey Capital. Jaffrey Capital is held by their CEO, Shahid Jaffrey. He's involved in the strategic joint venture recently with New York-based Lynx Mortgage Bank. It's an established New York bank with 30 years of industry experience. Jaffrey Capital offers a variety of capital market services in the commercial real estate area. They leverage amazing facilities, equity, debt, capital for commercial real estate transactions. We are so excited to work with Jaffrey Capital, and we really hope you enjoy Season 1, Episode 20 today with Eric Baum of Bluleadz. Thanks so much for joining us. Good day, and welcome to our podcast, Elevating Today. My name is Aakash Patel, founder and president of Elevate Inc., and this is Season 1, Episode 20, and my guest today is my friend Eric Baum. Eric, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me, Aakash.
Of course, thanks for joining us. Now, for the folks at home that don't know a little bit about you, tell us, where you're from and how you got into the career you're in.
Man, that's a long story, but I'll try to keep it brief, right? So I actually started Bluleadz, which is a digital marketing agency here in Tampa, about 10 years ago. I actually owned a couple service companies and made it through the recession with those, and had to take all of my advertising and turn it digital, and that was about 12 years ago. So I hired a team internally to do so at the service company that I owned, and I grew that team internally and then took it and turned that into Bluleadz because there was such a demand for digital marketing back then. So it actually worked out really well for me. The recession was tough to get through, but out of that came Bluleadz, so I'm very thankful for that.
So people watching at home are like, did he go to college? So where'd you study in college?
Yeah, so actually I graduated with a criminal justice pre-law degree from Westchester University outside of Philadelphia, where I'm from.
Okay.
I've been down here about 21 years. I've owned 6 different businesses in the last 30 years. So I've worked for a couple of larger corporations, Ameriprise Financial as a financial advisor for a few years, but beyond that I've always owned my own business. Always bootstrapped my own companies, always been profitable for my own companies from day one because I had to be. So
a lot of people are, they want the experience of being an entrepreneur. You are the epitome of an entrepreneur. Where does that mindset come from?
So if you ask my wife, she'll tell you because nobody, I don't want to listen to anybody else tell me what to do, right? I tend to agree with that, but I think it's also just drive, right? So when you're working for corporate America, let's say, you can't move as fast as you want to move many times. And as an entrepreneur, you can move as fast as you want to go, right? Or I should say as fast as your cash flow will allow. So I've always been intrigued by business. I've always been learning. So I've had a few different types of businesses over the years. A manufacturing company, I owned a bar, I owned a couple service companies, I owned a contracting company. And now I've owned Bluleadz for a little over 10 years now.
And congratulations on your success at Bluleadz. I mean, it's kind of taken off. How many employees are you at now?
35 and growing, right? Made it through COVID, so intact.
So let's talk about that. So you got the successful company that does great digital marketing for national companies and even some international clients.
Yep.
March 13th hits. What went through your mind?
Well, fortunately for me, I lived through the recession. I own 2 service companies going through that recession.
The recession of which year?
So 2008 through 2010, right? So I knew exactly what to do. But in answer to your question, when March, middle of March hit, very beginning of April, most of our clients were like, whoa, stop, we're going to stop spending on anything. And our business is built on a retainer model, reoccurring revenue.
Right.
We lost 25% of our revenue inside of 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, I know exactly what to do from the recession last time. We're going to make these cuts, implement this immediately. We cut deep, we cut once. We communicate effectively to our team and our clients and let them know exactly what we're doing, why we're doing it. And so that got us through the first couple of months, and in fact, we were able to roll back any cuts that we had to make within 2.5 months. So
your team obviously puts a lot of faith in you because, you've been through this challenge before with the recession in '08. How did you have to convince them, or did you have to convince them that you were going to get through this?
Yeah, so I think one of the things is, and it was really difficult for me. The very first day, I had to let go 9 people.
Wow.
I laid off 9 people because I had learned that you need to cut once, cut deep, because if you don't, then it's a slow attrition of both clients and team members, and everybody's scared about that, right? So I communicated that to the team. I made all those phone calls myself. That was a really difficult day. But because I did it that way, everybody knew that, the people that were still with me knew, hey, I've got a job. The company's still profitable because I communicated all the changes that we made so we would be profitable. And I think that kind of put everybody at ease at that point. And we were able to bring those people back, most of them within 2 weeks. Once we kind of figured out where things lay and things stabilized, because most companies, after the first month and a half, were like, okay, we know what's going to happen here. We've seen the worst. We're kind of going to get through this. So it was scary, but for me, I was like, all right, here's what we got to do. And I just laid into it, owned it, and got through it very quickly.
So a lot of people watching right now may not have heard of Bluleadz and the digital marketing experience and the advertising experience they have. You obviously know your team. You know your business. What sets you apart from your competition?
So, digital marketing agencies are a dime a dozen, right? We actually grew up alongside HubSpot, which is a marketing automation software. Yep. So what makes us different from the general marketplace is we specialize in HubSpot. But then inside of that ecosphere, what differentiates us from the other HubSpot partners out there, because there are about 4,000 other agencies that are partnered with HubSpot. We focus on the entire growth cycle, so we call it the flywheel. So our agency does not only lead generation, so like generating traffic and leads to your website, through your website, but we also focus on sales enablement services, as well as the service side of things, so cross-sell and upsell for clients. So we actually embrace the entire revenue cycle, not just marketing.
And what's going on right now in the world, there's people that are starting businesses, right? Because they've had to adjust during COVID-19 and now we're in 2021. What do you say to people that come to you and say, hey, Eric, why should I start a business, or what do I need to do to focus on a business?
So I don't know if you should start a business, right? Like, starting a company is not for everybody. It's hard.
Right.
You've got to have the mental fortitude of a giant many times, and certainly in a situation such as right now with COVID. So, there's ups and downs. Owning your own company sounds really cool and it's fun many times, and certainly it works out for some of us, but not all the companies I had worked out.
Right.
Not even with Bluleadz, we've gone through ups and downs over the years, right? So it's not easy. It's not, hey, I'm gonna, make a bunch of money and have a great life. You're the last person to get paid many times, until you reach a certain point, right? You're vulnerable. You're personally liable for stuff. So it's not easy. I would say for most people, don't do it until you're ready. Wow. Right? I would say for those people that are absolutely dedicated, then go all in and go gangbusters and don't look back. Because if you have hesitation, then you make the decisions based on fear, and that's when you fail.
So, you've obviously seen the ups and downs of your businesses with all the companies you've had, but each business is different, and each business must have had a different mentor, or did you have mentors?
So not really mentors. I had a few partners along the way in those businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And so we kind of learned together and grew together. But honestly, one of the things that I pride myself on is I'm like self-learning, right? So I read constantly. I didn't know anything about digital marketing before I started that company, right? Or this company. I learned everything on my own. So I've had some guidance through the years, and I've leaned on some people through the years, but I've never had like one mentor that's just shown me the way. I've just had to figure stuff out myself.
Is there one book you would tell people that are starting a business that they must read that helped you kind of grow your brand and career?
Man, that's a good question. So I think there's a couple of books that I'd recommend. Get a Grip and Traction by Gino Wickman. So, he illustrates what's called the entrepreneurial operating system, the EOS.
EOS, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been following that model now for about 8 or 9 years. That gives your business structure, and it gives you like an operating framework to work off of. So I definitely recommend those things. I think that probably off the top of my head, those are the 2 best books that I've read on business.
So, you're a father, you're a husband,
Sure.
and you also, have a lot of other responsibilities in this community. What's your work-life balance like?
Hectic, right? So I should say I've got a great leadership team in place. My team at Bluleadz is fantastic, so I don't have to spend a large amount of time managing my team. They're pretty self-sufficient. Home life, I live in Brooksville, so it's an hour away from here, and my office is here in Rocky Point, so I do spend some time commuting for sure. But now with COVID, I work from home quite a bit, I work here quite a bit, and as an entrepreneur, like, your hours aren't set.
Correct.
So, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning, and he's like, yeah, I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, and I was thinking about this, and he called me at 7, because I was like, I want to go over these ideas with you. I'm like, man, I've been there. Like, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you work for a couple hours because your brain just never shuts off. So I don't really have a work-life balance. I spend a lot of time with my family. I spend a lot of time at work or working, whether it's in the office or at home. So I'd say it's good.
So, Elevate Inc., we really enjoy working with you, and, we're obviously going to push you to get out in the community a little bit. And so, we're always talking about helping our city elevate Tampa and the things that you're doing that are resonating. We always want companies to know where they're going, right? Because vision and strategy is important. You have a vision.
Yeah.
For the folks at home, today's 2021. Where is Eric Baum? Where is Bluleadz in 5 years from today?
Yeah, so very simply, Bluleadz, 5 years from now, is going to be a 100-person agency.
Wow.
Maybe even larger. So I don't actually plan out 5 years in advance. We do what's called a vision summary, which comes from EOS, an entrepreneurial operating system. And we only plan out for 3 years because we're cycling so fast. So 5 years, 100, 150 maybe agency, doing a considerable amount of revenue. So I'm very excited about that. And so far, we've hit our benchmarks growing, so we should get there.
And you obviously have a philosophy, which is trust in your team.
Yes.
What do you look for in a key team leader?
So motivation, there's a couple things. We hire based on our core values. So we've got 5 core values that we hire on. I won't go through all of them today, but one of the things that I really look at is our biggest core values: do the right thing. So I've got to find people that have the right moral compass and are passionate and have a positive can-do attitude, which is another one of our core values. You've got to find people that are invested in it, right? That they're driven, that they want to do what you're doing. You can't just find people that just want a job. And especially in my industry, it's a very creative industry, and a lot of times, especially now, they're working from home. So you can't just sit there and oversee them all the time. You got to find somebody that has that passion, has that drive. They want to do excellent work. So that's the biggest thing. There's the one X factor that I always look for. I can't quite explain it, but I just call it the thing, right? Like, I'm looking for that spark in somebody that it's just like, that's the person that I want on my team.
That's right.
I don't know how to describe it, but I know it when I see it.
So now you're talking about Bluleadz, and people are asking, how can they help Eric? Who's your target customer right now?
Sure. So our target market is technology and manufacturing companies, B2B companies that are working on a national scale, whether located here or anywhere, doesn't make a difference, that are looking to generate leads online, right? Plain and simple. And when I say leads online, really generate revenue, because our agency is focused on revenue generation. Sure, we're a digital marketing agency, right? But we do month-to-month agreements with our clients because I believe in driving revenue for our clients. And if we're not producing and adding to the bottom line for them, then they shouldn't keep us on board.
And so, right now with what's going on in 2021 and the the world, are you seeing an increase of people wanting to spend on the digital marketing space because they can't really network or, advertise?
Yeah, absolutely. So of course, from March to June, everybody's like, whoa, I'm not spending anything right now. Everything's going to be on pause. But after that, we've seen the second half of this year, our growth trajectory has been phenomenal. So yeah, of course, everybody's going online. They're reevaluating their in-person trade show budgets and all of that kind of stuff, and then moving it all to digital. So we've been able to benefit from that.
Now, you and I have talked about this before. The Tampa Bay community is thriving. I think we talked about the economy, we've talked about the housing market, we've talked about corporations relocating here because that's what Elevating works with, a lot of relocated corporations. For us, we look at talent, right? The talent, you gotta have good talent. And with the universities of, let's say Tampa, South Florida, Eckerd College, St. Pete College, what is your opinion of the innovation community of Tampa and the talent pool we have here?
Great question. So, I'm highly optimistic on the talent pool here because, I need talented tech individuals. And that's one of the reasons why we're located in Tampa, because it's a growing tech community.
Right.
So we recruit straight out of school. So we work with USF, University of Tampa, International Design Academy. We also take people and train them that are maybe moving from a different kind of an environment, like a copywriter, for example, or a marketer. So they might be working for, a college or an education foundation or just a regular company, and they want to learn digital marketing as opposed to like old school marketing. So we've got a very intensive training program, either a 3-month or a 6-month program to retrain those individuals and teach them how to be really good at digital marketing. So I'm actually really excited about that because we partnered with CareerSource and gotten a training grant to be able to help offset some of those intensive training costs. So we've done that. We did that back in 2019, and we just got our grant renewal for that recently. So I'm excited.
Yeah, the IWT and EWT funds at CareerSource Tampa Bay are phenomenal, and I'm glad that you're one of the great corporations that are taking advantage of it because we have to keep our talent here, and we talk about that all the time.
Yeah. In fact, in today's market, and I was just talking to somebody a couple minutes ago about this, is, we get recruiters come and try to poach our team members all the time because we've spent so much time and resources in training individuals, and specifically in the HubSpot ecosphere, which is the software that we utilize. And so now those team members are extremely valuable, and my team members are getting poached from all over the country. And it's important to continue to level them up, but then also be able to pull in that local talent pool and continue to train those. So I might lose some people occasionally, right? But at the end of the day, Tampa's filled with an extraordinary amount of talented people and to draw from, which is helpful.
Yeah, and recently we were able to sit down with you and Mayor Castor, and you told her very similar things.
Yep. Yeah, we're really excited to work with CareerSource, and in fact, they've got a couple other programs that we're looking to partner with them as well. I would urge anybody that's in a highly technical or transitionary business where it's like, hey, you're trying to train people up to take advantage of those programs because it was very helpful for us.
Well, Eric, I know we're running here a little bit short on time. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to get across to our viewers?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I think one last thing would be now's the time to double down on your digital marketing, right? Now, obviously that's a self-promotion for me, right? But really, people are looking more than ever online for what they're buying.
Right.
And so take a look at your lead gen efforts online, take a look at your website, look at your customer experience online, make that the best you possibly can, because I can guarantee you what your site's doing, your website's doing right now is not all that it could be doing for your business.
Now you're involved also in some other organizations like CEO Council. Talk about your involvement in groups like that.
Yeah, so I'm a recent member of the CEO Council of Tampa Bay, so I'm just kind of finding my footing there, right? So getting involved in that. One of the programs that I'm getting involved in that is the CEO for Schools program.
Great program, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just talking to a couple individuals last night about that, and actually somebody reached out to me this morning about a school that I'm going to work with on that. So that's a program I'm a little nervous to get involved with, right? Because I'm not sure what what kind of value I can add to an elementary school. But I'm working with Ed Alsasser on kind of tackling.
Who's on the board of our company.
Yeah. So like he's like, you know what, the school that I'm working with really needs a lot of work and a lot of help, and would you partner with me in doing that? I'm like, you show me what I need to do, and I'm happy to get involved, right? I'm also involved with the West Shore Alliance.
Great organization.
Yeah. So I've been a partner with them for, I want to say 4 or 5 years. I've been involved in various capacities with them. We sponsor some events with them. We do some stuff with them. And it's gotten me more involved in the local community. So I've been very thankful for that.
Yeah, CEOs for Schools is coming up here on February 19th. And I think for education, you talked about earlier, I mean, education is key for this community. And there are some elementary schools that don't have that access to entrepreneurs like yourself. So thank you for doing that.
Of course.
Now, a lot of people, before we close today, are going to say, what's the secret for Eric? What drives him? What obviously, people talk about revenue. People talk about, feeding the families that they employ. But what's your motivation to do this?
Man, that's tough. So I would argue that my motivation is didn't have a whole lot of money growing up. Right, and so that was embarrassing as a child. That made me feel as though like I don't want my children to feel that way. I don't want my kids growing up not having the things that my friends had when I was growing up. So for me, it was like a nonstop. I've got to succeed no matter what it takes. This is what I'm going to do, and it probably grew out of not having the things that I wanted in life. So now I'm fortunate to have those things. My kids are fortunate to have those kids or things. I want my team members to have those things for their children as well. So that's what drives me now.
You were telling us about, I was talking with you yesterday, recently, about your Christmas gift you gave to your son. And you talked about, responsibility. I mean, how important is it to teach the next generation of what you've gone through?
So it's, critical, right? Trying to figure out and lead, your children to make the right choices is not always the easiest thing, right? And sometimes it's even harder with your children. When you're getting guidance to somebody else's children, it might be a little bit easier, right? So like when kids are coming straight out of college and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, can you help me? And I'm like, absolutely, because they might actually listen to you. Sometimes your own kids don't listen to you as much, right? So I think it's easier to mentor someone else's kids than it is your own sometimes.
Well, Eric, we really appreciate your guidance. Congratulations on all your success at Bluleadz. We're so excited to work with you, and we want you to come back here again and tell us your success stories.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
This is Aakash Patel, and you're watching Elevate Inc. today, our podcast, and this is Season 1, Episode 20 with Eric Baum. Thanks so much for joining us.